Okay, well, if you guys want that another time, feel free to reach out for me via social media or in person, but socially distant, so I can sing it to you, and I will do that. Okay, are we starting now? Oh, oh, oh. Okay. I'm gonna do it an octave lower, and I also haven't looked at it since August. So it's basically the order of the presidents. Okay. Hi ho, do you know the name of the U.S. presidents residents who then became the presidents and got the view from the White House to a Pennsylvania Avenue? Um, George Washington was the first you see who would chop down a cherry tree. President number 2 would be, John Adams, and then number 3. I'm just gonna change the key because it's too high. Tom Jefferson sat down to write the Declaration late at night. Then he and his wife had a great big fight, and she made him sleep on the couch all night. James Madison never had a son, and he fought in the War of 1812. James Monroe's colossal nose was bigger than Pinocchio's. John Quincy Adams was number 6, and it's Andrew Jackson's butt he kicks. So Jackson learns to play politics. Next time he's the one that the country picks. Martin Van Buren, number 8 for a one-shot term at Chief of State. Henry Harrison, how do you praise the guy was dead in 30 days? Okay, good, because I can't remember the next one. Okay. Oh, great. Well, I better get tipped today, so, okay. I will change the mood now. So now I'm going to do my chapel opener. So, hello, my name is Reese Miller, and I am a senior CLC representative. So when we were brainstorming ideas for the theme, one concept that kept occurring to me was accountability. Whether this be accountability for simple things like doing your homework or something larger like mistakes or ignorance. So today, I would like to talk to you guys about why I want to be the torch for accountability. To start, I want to point out one thing all of us have in common. We go to GPS. Outside of that, we have a variety of differences between our age, religion, race, and more. Every person at our school has sorry, I just messed that line up, my bad. Our school is probably one of the only things every person here has in common. Because of this unifying characteristic, I would like to talk about how we can be accountable for the privilege that comes with going to our school. We are a private institution with a multitude of AP courses, classes, extracurriculars, clubs, and most importantly, the resources to keep our school going during various stages of a pandemic. These are things that all of us, including myself, often take for granted. It can be hard when we remove ourselves from the GPS bubble, but once we do, we can be accountable for our community in ways that were not possible before. We can start with our school itself by using our resources to be more sustainable or joining clubs where we can learn about many cultures and issues around the world. These practices can continue into our families, where we can be accountable for having the tough conversations about issues we are passionate about. This shouldn't just start with your family, though. If you hear a friend make an insensitive comment about somebody who's in a marginalized community, it shouldn't be up to members of that minority to speak up. You should be accountable for your own privilege and use it to speak up for others when they may not be comfortable. It's also equally important to know when to use your voice to speak up and when to use it as a platform for the voices of others to be raised. This can be a fine line to walk, but if you're unsure, be accountable by asking someone if you are overstepping or if you're not doing enough. When you're in a position of privilege, you have far less to lose and should not hesitate to help others who face disadvantages because of things they can't control. While this may seem a bit heavier than some of the recent openers, I think it's important that we remember this is a year of growth, something all of us will have in our life. So be the torch for accountability with me and have a nice day. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Caroline and I'm one of your sophomore student council representatives. I'm here to tell upper school students to check your emails for an email from Ms. Vitas today for a special way to earn Bruiser Bowl points and appreciate our faculty and staff here at GPS. It's an easy and fun way, and it's a great way to rack up points for your class. Good luck.
Hey guys, I'm Anna Von Kessler. I'm a senior, and this is an announcement for freshmen. So this Friday, September 18th, from 8 to 10:15 p.m., GPS is hosting a drive-in movie night on the GPS lawn. You will be watching Mamma Mia. Make sure you dress up in your Hawaiian attire, bring your own blanket or towel. Enjoy some bonding time with your class and drink some strawberry slushies. Other snacks and refreshments, along with grass skirts, straw hats, and layers, will be provided for viewing. You can also support soccer on the lower fields and walk up after halftime. Hope to see you there.
Hey everyone, I'm Miss Mann, college counselor, junior class dean. Juniors and seniors, you all crushed attendance at our first virtual college night. Way to go. Sadly, last week, not so great. So we've got Zoom fatigue, and it's real. I feel it. You get it. But we've got to make the most of our current situation. The colleges and the universities that are attending our college nights would love to meet you and share their school with you. So next Monday, we've got an incredible lineup for you. Juniors, here is your charge. Next Monday, September 21st, it's the third GPS Macaulay Baylor College Night. It starts at 7 p.m. and runs through 8 to 8:15 p.m. I want y'all to look at the list on my GPS and in the calendar invitation I've sent you and bravely pick 3 schools you know nothing about, or maybe just a little bit about, and jump into their Zoom rooms to find out more. Seniors, if there are colleges on the list that you need to connect with, or if you are still investigating your options, be sure to not pass up this opportunity. Make Ms. McCarter and me proud next Monday night as we pop into the Zoom rooms. We want to see GPS girls' faces dominating the screens, lighted up. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Addie Yeomans, and I'm a senior, and I'm giving a red announcement. Say boo to the flu. The Parent Council invites students, faculty, and staff at GPS to get their flu shots on the GPS campus in Caldwell Commons anytime between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. this Friday, tomorrow. Any student that participates will be entered into a drawing to win an Amazon gift card. That's pretty cool. In order to receive the vaccination, you must completely fill out both the sign-up and the vaccination form, which is in the weekly Parent-Student Post or under the Parent-Student Update Resource Board on my GPS. Please bring the completed vaccination form with you to the flu clinic in order to be vaccinated. Hope to see everybody there getting their flu shots. Woohoo!
Woo-hoo! Happy Constitution Day! Happy Constitution Day! Yay, indeed. All right, this is September 17th. The year is 1787. The setting is Philadelphia in the Pennsylvania State House, now known as Independence Hall, where men have been gathering for months trying to hammer out a new kind of government, one that will balance freedom and stability. And not only are these men in Philadelphia, not only are they pragmatic compromisers, but they are also innovators. They have put together a new kind of government, a new form of government, a federal form of government, one that doesn't have just one source of authority, but multiple sources of authority. And these men, children of the Enlightenment that they are, believe that this new government must harmonize with certain natural rights and natural laws. So here is James Madison, little Jemmy to his friends. I wouldn't call him little, though, not to his face. And what he said was, justice is the end or the goal of government. It is the end or the goal of civil society, said Jemmy. Can we click? One? Okay. There we go. And while these men in Philadelphia knew that in a democracy, the majority rules, that minority rights still are critically important. And so, writes Madison, in republics, the great danger is that the majority may not sufficiently respect the rights of the minority. Madison and his fellow framers also knew that they were fallible, that they were imperfect human beings, They were not demigods. They knew, too, that the one thing you can count on is that things will change. And so they built a mechanism into the Constitution for adjusting or amending the Constitution as needed. And one of these amendments we are celebrating, woohoo, this year, the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, protecting women's rights to vote. Give it up for the 19th, woo! But there is another amendment that is celebrating a very important birthday. And Dr. Harrison, will you take it away, please?
Yeah, I knew you all expected probably to get a good long time on the 19th Amendment, being a girls' school, and it is the 100th anniversary. But we've also talked about it, and Ms. Gordon took our best story on opening day. So we're actually going to talk about, if I can get this to work. I cannot. Well, I went back. We have a time delay on this.
Pretend you don't see any of this.
Yeah. We're actually going to be talking about the 15th Amendment today. Now, we'll still work the 19th Amendment into that, but the 15th Amendment has its 150th anniversary this year. And we don't talk about this amendment very much, and there's actually a reason for that. It's one of those amendments that where they put it into place, recognizing that something needed to change in the Constitution, but the change didn't actually do the job they wanted. Now, what does it actually say? Essentially, what it says is that you cannot forbid anyone to vote based on race, color, or previous condition of servitude. So what they're really looking at here is former slaves, and they want to protect their right to vote. And this seems very straightforward, except once this gets passed, and it gets passed, oh, I'm sorry, you wanted to mention the Battle of Antietam.
Yes, I would love to mention the Battle of Antietam. Today is the anniversary not only of Constitution Day, it's also the anniversary of the Battle of Antietam, which took place in Maryland in 1862. It was the single bloodiest day of the Civil War. And it was during the Civil War that our nation and our Constitution were most severely tested. And following this Northern victory in Maryland, this victory allowed Abraham Lincoln, President Lincoln, to issue the Emancipation Proclamation, which dedicated the North to the cause of freeing the slaves. It would take almost another 3 years before Northern armies could really make this stick, however.
Okay, last time I tried this, I went like 16 slides ahead. And there it goes again. It just wants to wait a little bit. So here, we're going to have to go pretty fast here because we're running behind. When the 15th Amendment is passed, it's passed with a bunch of hoopla. And you might ask, why do we need it? We had the Emancipation Proclamation to start with, but that only freed slaves that were under Confederate control. That doesn't do anything for slaves that were in the North or had already been, or in the South for lands that had already been taken back by the Union. So we get the 13th Amendment that ends slavery. We get the 14th Amendment, which gives them equal rights and due process under the law. And then we add the 15th Amendment, which guarantees their voting rights. All of these things were designed to help and protect freed African Americans, freed slaves. It is passed to a great deal of hoopla. It looks like finally our struggle is over, we can move on. And then as soon as this gets passed, you get bunches of loopholes. These loopholes are that the 15th Amendment doesn't protect people or doesn't forbid discrimination based on gender, based on literacy, based on wealth, based on the citizenship of your ancestors. They had some states put in clauses that said, if your grandfather can vote, then you can vote. None of that was dealt with in the 15th Amendment. There was also direct intimidation, where you'd have vigilantes prevent freedmen from voting. The effects of this that we care about are twofold. One is it actually restarts the women's suffrage movement. The women's suffrage movement had really been launched in 1848 with Seneca Falls movement. And then they kind of took a back seat because most of the women involved in that were also involved in the abolition movement. And they just decided we're going to focus on abolition first. And they thought they can get taken care of at the same time. And then the 15th Amendment basically leaves them behind. So this launches the women's suffrage movement again and reinvigorates it. Second thing is African Americans basically are denied the right to vote for the better part of a century. I'm going to wait. Yes? Point up there? Okay, there we go. Thank you.
All right. So the 19th Amendment is passed. Yay, 1920. But unfortunately, in 1920, neither black men nor black women could actually vote. All right. I think we've skipped some things, but...
Again.
Okay. Ida B. Wells is somebody that you need to know about. And she really is a bridge in many ways between the movement for civil rights and for voting rights more generally, and for the movement for women's suffrage. She was an amazing woman who lived in the late 1800s, early 1900s, actually born during the Civil War. But she becomes a teacher, but a journalist, an investigative journalist, no less, who goes around the South in the late 1800s investigating lynchings after one of her friends was lynched. And she takes up the cause of trying to find justice and promote civil rights for African Americans. She insists that the nation protect the constitutional and civil rights of African Americans, as was on the law books. And then when she was excluded from the white suffrage organizations, she formed her own, and she and her peers formed organizations for suffrage. But they didn't push for suffrage simply for themselves, which, not that that's a bad thing. The right to vote is very important. But the idea was that if African American women could vote, then African American women could, as they said, lift as they climbed, that they could fight for the cause of civil rights for all African Americans, the whole community, as they themselves gained power and gained voice. So the right to vote not only allows you to have your own voice and protect your own rights, it also allows you to act on behalf of the community that you care about. So Ida B. Wells is somebody definitely to know. We had a video, but we're going to skip that in the interest of saving a little time. Sorry.
So this brings us to the civil rights movement, which we normally think of from 1955 to 1965. It had actually started basically in the 1860s, as soon as you get freed slaves who have to protect their rights. We always think of Martin Luther King as the great leader for that, and he was the spokesman for it. But today we're hoping we might actually talk about somebody else who was working for this, and that's John Lewis. And John Lewis passed away after an extraordinary life. He passed away about 2 months ago. And we don't think of him as much. For one thing, he wasn't nearly the powerful speaker that Martin Luther King was, or a lot of civil rights leaders were. But he was somebody who worked tirelessly for civil rights, and particularly for voting rights. And you see here, this is him marching in Selma. This is him speaking about 20 minutes before Martin Luther King did the I Have a Dream speech. This is him being locked up one of the 41 times he was sent to jail for this cause. After this, he goes into politics. He becomes a city councilman in Atlanta. He becomes a member of the House of Representatives for, I believe, 30-something years, and I forget. And he just had an extraordinary career and a real impact on both on American society, and when you think about the Constitution, he's trying to make it live up to the promise it had 200 years ago. The result of this, and I have no idea when this thing will move, is that there were some things that got fixed. The Civil Rights Act of 1964, the 24th Amendment, which outlaws the poll tax, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, all of these were, because of the Civil Rights Movement, men like John Lewis were able to get this done and mobilize people to get it done. And right after that, African American participation in the voting process expands dramatically. But there are always people who want to stop others from voting and take away those rights. And since then, people have been getting creative. In 2013, the Supreme Court struck down the Voting Rights Act. They didn't say it was unconstitutional. They said it was no longer appropriate, that there wasn't this kind of discrimination again. And so they took out certain parts of it. And as soon as that happened, states like North Carolina, which is my own home state, so I pay careful attention there, states like North Carolina started putting in more restrictions. What they started to do is basically make it harder to vote. And the things they tried to do, one district court looked at it and said, you're targeting African Americans with almost, quote, surgical precision. And that was their entire, that was the goal of the legislation in North Carolina, according to the district court. So if you take anything away from today, take away the facts that the Founding Fathers and the framers did what they thought was best at the time, but set up a way for things to change. And then we can try to change things. But even when we try to change things, it requires constant vigilance. And so I want to finish with what John Lewis said in his book, if this will go. Ours is not the struggle of one day, 1 week, or 1 year. Ours is not the struggle of one judicial appointment or presidential term. Ours is the struggle of a lifetime, maybe even many lifetimes. And each one of us in every generation must do his part, our part. He also said one more thing. Liberty is not a right. Liberty is an act. So if you take anything away from that, this kind of vigilance and activity is the only way to protect your rights and other people's rights.
And I wanted to say one thing really quickly, and then, of course, what could we do with Constitution Day but play the preamble? But before we do, if you have no vote, if you cannot vote, you have no say in the rules that society is going to require you to follow. Your voice is your vote. Your vote is your voice. So I hope you will all vote when you can. It's so important. And with that, we'll go ahead and call it a day. But as you depart, we'll allow the preamble and Schoolhouse Rock to celebrate the day. Thank you very much for your attention. Have a great day.
Do you know about the government? Can you tell me about the Constitution? Hey, learn about the USA. In 1787, I'm told our founding fathers did agree to write a list of principles for keeping people free. The USA was just starting out, a whole brand new country. And so our people spelled it out, the things that we should be. And they put those principles down on paper and called it the Constitution. And it's been helping us run our country ever since then. The first part of the Constitution is called the Preamble and tells what those founding fathers set out to do. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare at hand, secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. In 1787, I'm told our founding fathers all sat down and wrote a list of principles that's known the world around. The USA was just starting out, a whole brand new country. And so our people spelled it out. They wanted a land of liberty. And the preamble goes like this. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility. Provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty. To ourselves and our posterity do ordain and establish this Constitution.